So some things just never change, especially in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills again dominate the Miami Dolphins 31-10 on Thursday Night Football. Amazon Prime, we can't keep track of all these streaming options, but tonight was Amazon Prime. But yeah, Josh Allen, Buffalo Bills. People thought maybe they don't win the division. Maybe they're not Super Bowl contenders. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost a lot of players. Maybe the New York Jets do something with Aaron Rodgers. Maybe the Dolphins finally wake up and show something. It's going to still be the Buffalo Bills in the AFC. They cruise to big time victory. Unfortunately for the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa left early after he took a big hit to the head, and he might be in the concussion protocol. He's being evaluated right now. Nothing is set for sure when it comes to concussion. We got to be safe with that, but he is being evaluated for a head injury there. So that's unfortunate for Tua. But we're going to discuss everything Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills to start this Gilberto's Hours, part number 2. That's right, number 2 for Gilberto's Hour here on Compas on the Beat. But I'm not alone. That voice, that great voice that you hear, that voice that's just perfect for radio, perfect for play-by-play, perfect to just be a good host and speak clearly. You could hear him. He's like the voice of God, right? Victor Javier Corona, Victor producer. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. As you talked about it, can you hear me this time?
Yeah,
Can you
I,
hear me
I got
now?
I got you
All
this
right,
time.
we're good.
Loud and clear. We're off to a good start, Victor. How
We're
you
off to
doing?
a good start. But yes, just like Josh Allen dominated the Buffalo Bills, man. What a performance there by Josh Allen. He's now Gilbert. He's now 7-0 on Thursday Night Football. He's 11-2 versus Miami. I mean, what a complete domination by Josh Allen in the division. I think that's how you go about winning a division is by being able to beat those division rivals, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the Jets. So big ups to Josh Allen and everything he's been able to do in the AFC East.
Yeah, Victor, when you say a stat like that or stats like that, where Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills are dominating, it makes you wonder why a lot of people were, I guess, hesitant to pick them to win the Super Bowl or even the division. Like, I'm not gonna pat myself on the back already. Well, I guess I'll do it. Whatever. I picked the Bills to win the AFC East, but I understand though, a little bit, Victor, why they weren't a sexy pick to win the Super Bowl because after a while when you keep losing to the Kansas City Chiefs, when you keep falling short, you still haven't gone to a Super Bowl. You start kind of like, forgetting your old news, your window's kind of over with. Let's move on. Oh, you lost Stephon Diggs. Oh, you lost a bunch of players defensively. So people move on. And the one thing, Victor, that I wrote about today, check out my story, si.com, plug there by me. The focus for me was, why doesn't Josh Allen get the same respect as like an Aaron Rodgers? Because when Aaron Rodgers had some, somewhat okay rosters with the Green Bay Packers, everybody still picked them to win the division and maybe make the Super Bowl. Like Aaron Rodgers Packer teams were always picked to go far, even though maybe the defense was terrible, maybe they didn't have many weapons, especially after they traded Devontae Adams. But it was always Aaron Rodgers, and with Josh Allen, it was like it's like he's overrated. You know that survey that ESPN released about the players saying Josh Allen is overrated. The Bills aren't going to do anything. He was created because of Stephon Diggs trade. Stephon Diggs made Josh Allen like all these takes were a little ridiculous, and I think maybe Josh Allen deserved a little more respect. I get it. He hasn't gone to a Super Bowl. I understand that part, but to me, all that narrative of Josh Allen being kind of maybe a fraud or suspect, whatever the kids say, and then you see guys are getting just overpaid for not doing much. Josh Allen has done a lot in the league, so I think he's earned his money. So, Vic, am I wrong or right there going with that angle for my story? Because I just felt like this was like a game where, like, hey, like he's not going anywhere. Maybe we should give Josh Allen a little more respect. That when he's the quarterback, who cares about the rest of the roster? They're going to have a chance.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I had him as my MVP this season, and I changed it just because I didn't want to go along with everybody. I started seeing people picking him, and I'm
Okay.
like, you know what? I'm gonna change my pick. And part of the reason that I picked him was because, as they've been saying, on the broadcast, they talked about it a little bit. They're gonna let everybody else cook. They want to make sure that everybody is involved in this offense, and maybe that's a shot at Stephon Diggs. But as we've talked about Josh Allen. I think you and I are on the same page when it comes to Josh Allen. The thing is too that people need to remember is like, yeah, everybody says, well, he keeps losing to Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is Michael Jordan in the 90s Like every NBA player who wanted to beat Michael Jordan kept running into him, and so that's why they ended up with no rings. And it's the same thing with Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Look, Josh Allen is carrying this team. What he did in that second half of last season,
Hmm.
after the after Brady took over, Joe Brady took over as offensive coordinator. That's what we've been asking for, and he's been a little bit less of a hero ball kind of guy. Yes, does he still do make stupid mistakes? Yes, but when you have that talent where you are like the Hulk out there at the quarterback position, I can understand why he makes those he takes those risks. But as you said, Gilbert, I think he's one of those guys that just puts the team on his back. And unfortunately, yes, I get it. He hasn't had the playoff success, but he keeps running into Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
What more do you want from the guy?
Yeah, I guess at some point, you do got to get past the Kansas City Chiefs and dethrone them and get by. I get that. That's more one more part of the Josh Allen. I guess I guess when you look at the checklist, hey, he to be an elite quarterback, you got to maybe beat the elite quarterbacks. But again, like you mentioned, Victor, it's tough when you're going against a team that strong, that good, with a quarterback, better than you, even though you're very good. But before I segue to the Miami Dolphins here, Victor, just kind of a quick rundown of the show. It is called Gilberto's Hour, my show here. People gave me a show here that that's pretty cool. But this show is all about you, the listeners and viewers of Compas on the Beat. And we made this show because we wanted to talk fantasy football. We wanted to talk about sports bets, real football. You have any football takes? Go ahead and unleash them in the comment section. If you have a question for me or Victor, let us know too. If you want to make fun of my picks, if you check out my stories at si.com, and I had a terrible column or a good column, I got the thumbs up right here. Or maybe you saw something you didn't like or heard something you didn't like. Vikings fans did not like my takes on Compas on the Beat Lunes Live this week. I saw some of the comments there for that video when we talked about the Vikings and Sam Darnold. So I'm all about debating, but having fun and just talking fantasy football, bets, whatever it is. And shout out to Athea for being in the comments. We'll get to your comments in a bit. And I don't know if I'm going to butcher your name, Divi Duo. I see your question there. You know what? Let's get to the Dolphins, and then I'll answer some of the questions here from Athir and DB Duo. But go ahead and throw the question. They were just joining us live here. But just to put a bow on this Thursday night football game, which was the stinker. Victor, shout out to you. You're probably going to beat me in fantasy football because I did the dumb mistake of putting Tua in my fantasy lineup. That was horrendous. And just to kind of defend myself, I had Joe Burrow, who I didn't want to trust anymore. Bye, see you later. And then it kind of was kind of a tough situation. I take a gamble. I'll take the big L right there. But on the real football life for the Miami Dolphins, you know, same old story, Victor. I don't even know what to write about with them, and it's unfortunate that Tua Tagovailoa, left, and we'll find out more about his a potential head injury there. And when I saw that shot that he took running in the middle of the field, I knew it's going to be bad. What are you doing in that situation? I know you got to be, you're trying to rally, you're trying to make some plays for your team, but you also got to be careful and cautious, and the history that he has there, Tua that is, but it's just Miami. Like I kind of wanted to give Mike McDaniel some credit for running the football pretty heavily and being committed to the Devon Achan. And then I'm like, well, they're playing them deep. They're trying to take away Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. So that tells me that he was maybe forced to run the football a little more. And it just shows that they're still a one-dimensional team. Like they do one thing very good, that is deep shots to Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. You take that away, they don't really do much. And I wanted to give Tua some credit early in the game because he just showed good command of the offense, like doing a little flips here, a nice shovel pass over here, and it just looked like he was a confident player. But then you look up and they're like getting 4 yards or 5 yards, and it just didn't go anywhere. And then when they were falling behind and Tua had to force the ball, 3 interceptions, a pick six, it just went completely wrong. And Victor, you can take it away from here, and we can wrap up this Thursday night football conversation because it's Gilberto's hour, and we're trying to make 1 hour. But it just felt like the same team that can't evolve. They can't make adjustments. They're a one-trick pony. I'm pretty tired of the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, and I understand your frustration. We've been talking about it. As we talked about, we look at the history with Mike McDonald as the Dolphins head coach, and he's now what 7-2 or 6-2 in September as coach of the Dolphins, and part of it is because they usually have an easy schedule and they falter towards the end of the season, and now they got a big matchup early on in week 2 because Amazon Prime wanted a legit game, and this was a good game to kind of look forward to. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. And then talking about Tyreek Hill, Gilbert, in his career as a Dolphin, he has 100-yard games against the Bills. This is his sixth game as a Dolphins versus the Bills, and this tells you a lot of how
Wow.
Sean McDermott defends this team, and he brackets Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and he gives the Dolphins the opportunity to run the ball. So it's up to Mike McDaniel to make the adjustments. He hasn't been able to make the adjustment. It's not just Josh Allen having big games against, the Dolphins. It's also the way Sean McDermott has outcoached Mike McDaniel. And this becomes a problem, Gilbert, especially as you start getting into your third or fourth year coaching a team because I told you guys as my biggest takeaway is that a lot of these defensive coordinators have now made the adjustments to these offenses, and these offenses haven't made the adjustments back, and that's been a problem. And I understand that Tua has limitations as well, but you as the offensive coordinator, as an innovator, you brought the cheat motion, which was great last season, which everybody copied, but you haven't come back this season with something new, and that's going to be a problem going forward. Which is also why I didn't have the Dolphins making the playoffs, Gilbert. It's hard. Like I understand people love this team, all the nerds love this team just because of what Mike McDaniel does offensively, but you also have to. These offensive lines are just not really good, and then you lose your left tackle again. You lose your one of your guards as well, and Isaiah Wynn. It's just not a good recipe for the Dolphins going forward.
Yeah, and I'll flash this real quick here. Our what is it? Our engagement question of the week, just for the sake of time. Are the Bills going to run away with the AFC East? And it sounds like it, Victor. So let us know in the comments. But Victor, I don't want to ignore the comments here because I see a couple
Yes.
fantasy football questions and those nuggets that you heard from Victor. That's what you get here on Gilberto's Hour. And again, we want to talk fantasy football, best NFL bets, real life football. But let's get to some of these comments before we move on, Vic.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and start off with is it DB Duel, and he says, "Is Godwin and Bowers for Ayuk a bad trade?" And then he said why he thought about making the trade. He says, "My matchup has Njoku, so he needs a tight end." And then he said his offense is ETN, Bijan Robinson, Ayuk, Metcalf, and Kyron.
Hmm. Okay. So he would be the one getting Brandon Ayuk in this scenario.
Yes, it sounds like it because his matchup needs a tight end. I'm guessing that's what it is.
Okay.
But what do you think of the trade though? Is Godwin and Bowers for Ayuk a bad trade?
Ugh. I know the Raiders are gonna have a tough time scoring points, but I like what Bowers did in flashes over Minshew and Godwin. I want to like him, but then he always just gets lost with Mike Evans getting all the touchdowns. So I think for me, Vic, I think I'll lean to waiting on Brandon Ayuk. Brandon Ayuk was a little rusty because of him holding out during training camp, and I think when he gets some more repetitions, Ayuk is Brock Purdy's guy. Brock Purdy needs Ayuk to get in a rhythm, and yeah, it helped them out this week that the Jets were pretty bad, and that Debo made plays and Jordan Mason made plays, but uh, it's a tough one here for me at least, Vic. But I think for me, I will be a little more patient.
Yeah, I'd take Ayuk here. I mean, I'm sure he dropped in your draft because of the contract situation. So if you got him later on, I would just keep him at this point. Godwin and Bowers don't really add up to the
Yeah,
same production you're going to get out of Ayuk going forward, especially if CMC continues to miss time. I'm sure they're going to feed Jordan Mason, but Ayuk is the main he's the main weapon there outside of Debo. in terms of the of stretching the
Or
stretching the field.
maybe I got it wrong, but I think he's trying to trade for Ayuk. If that's the case, yeah, go ahead
Yeah,
and get
go
Ayuk.
ahead. If
Okay,
you
yeah,
can
go
pull
ahead.
that, if you can pull that trade off, go ahead. But
Yeah.
if you have Ayuk, I'd keep him. Next one said from George Play 01 says drop Jalen Wright for Bucky Irving, non PPR draft.
Jalen Wright's the Dolphins running back. I, I wouldn't. I think Bucky Irvin, showed flashes of doing something, and me being a Rashad White owner in our league, Vic, I'm a little worried about Bucky Irvin because it seems like Bucky Irvin might be the better running back than Rashad White, but Rashad White has the passing element. That's where he comes in. I think most of the points that I got last week were off of catches and receiving yards. So I'm a little worried. That's why I picked up Bucky Irvin and handcuffed them. But I don't know who's who in the scenario here. But I'd rather go with Bucky Irvin. Jalen Wright played okay today, but like when Mostert comes back and you got Achan, that's probably the way they're going to go for their 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, if you can keep one of these guys in terms of you're just stashing them, then my pick is Bucky Irving over Jalen Wright. If Mostert misses more time, then Jalen Wright is the guy you want here. So it just depends on what your needs are and
Yeah.
what you have on your roster. If you have flexibility to keep extra bench players, I would go ahead and keep Bucky Irving over Jalen Wright. So we have Cameron LaChance says here, do you think I should trade ETN and Jerome Ford for JT? I don't know who JT
Ooh. Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
So I'm guessing Cameron has ETN and Jerome Ford. If that's the case, you better run and hope that guy takes that trade because Jonathan Taylor is definitely better than Jerome Ford and ETN. I like ETN, but he's never really put it together. And if he
Yeah.
does, is he going to be Jonathan Taylor? I don't think so. And what a brutal fumble near the goal line. I had the Jaguars and all my upset picks, man, and they blew it when ETN fumbled. I'm a little mad at ETN, but Taylor is still on a different level, Vic.
All right, let's keep it moving, Gilbert. Here, Deer says, "I know it's early in the season. Miami Jets and entire AFC North looks trash. How you going to convince me Chargers not the fourth best team in the AFC?
Ooh,
Chiefs, Bills,
look at
Texans,
that.
Chargers.
We're moving quickly here. Okay, so
Yeah,
Thier has Chiefs, Bills, Texans, Chargers. Well, it's maybe I'm not high on the
let,
Ravens, but I think it's a little too early to rule out the Ravens based on
yeah.
record. But go ahead, Vic, and name some teams for me that maybe I'm forgetting about.
Well, the thing is, Satir, is I like to wait about a month because, waiting a month gives you an opportunity to kind of get through the preseason of the regular season, if that makes sense. We see that a lot of these teams don't play their starters during the preseason, and so I would want to see the Chargers and how they do. Look, I'm a little concerned here if I'm being completely honest about the Chargers on a 10 a.m. Game going to travel to the Panthers. It's such a big trap game, Gilbert, and
Yeah,
we'll talk about it when we get to the betting angle of this
and the Survivor
because
pool. I have some words
yeah,
for that too.
yeah, and I mean, look, I picked up their defense. I picked up Justin Herbert in fantasy as well, just because I like. But I'm also wary of how upsets happen. We saw last week nobody expected the Patriots to beat the Bengals. So I would just I let's talk about this in 4 weeks. After the fourth week, we can have this conversation.
Just to double check, I see Angel saying audio. Okay, he said never mind. I got
Yeah.
word. Angel, I'm looking over here at my system here, like is my mic off or whatever. But it gave me a scare there. But what else we got? I actually like that we have all these comments right now.
Yes. All right.
People are chiming in, so let's keep it
All
going.
right,
Keep
we
it going
got
fast here.
Crooners Live said, I just traded Tyreek for Gary Wilson and Monty. Did I win?
I just traded
Yep.
Tyreek for Garrett Wilson and Monty David Montgomery. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Well, I'm guessing Croner is live. I like the picture, by the way. Victor and
Yes.
myself have cats, so that's a good one. But I'm assuming once you saw the Tua injury, you went and did the trade. It seems a little premature for me. I get it. I'm not even honestly, Victor. When Tua went out, I started writing my story. I'm not even sure who the backup is for the Dolphins. Is it Skylar Thompson?
Yeah, Skylar
I started
Thompson.
looking down and typing down this game is over. But okay, uh, I guess. But like, I like it in essence. If Tua's out, Garrett Wilson might have a good year with Aaron Rodgers being healthy. But then again, I don't know. Something about we're gonna get into it, but the Titans and the Jets, everybody still likes the Jets. They still like Aaron Rodgers, but I'm okay with the trade by doing that. I like Garrett Wilson. I'm a big fan of Dave Montgomery. He's it's going to be one of the most consistent running backs in the NFL. Yeah, he's splitting carries with Jameer Gibbs, but like when they want to win a game or preserve a lead, they're going to feed Dave Montgomery. When they get to the
Oh
goal
yeah.
line, it's going to be Dave Montgomery. So from that point of view, Vic, I'm okay with this trade. I think Kroner's had to pull the fast one and might get away with it.
Yeah, especially with Montgomery, man. We saw how good he is in the in overtime against the Rams. They fed him like it wasn't Jameer Gibbs. Jameer Gibbs is going to give you more of that PPR angle for you. Like if you are in a one point PPR or maybe even a half PPR, like he helps you there. But with Monty, he's going to get the bulk share of the carries for the Lions, and the Lions want to run the ball. We know that that's their identity, and especially down in the goal line, guess who's going to get the ball? Montgomery is. So you're just hoping if you have Jameer Gibbs that he can, get some screen passes, he be able to take one to the house outside of the red zone because the ball's going to Mountie in the red once they get inside the 5 yard line.
Look at us agreeing with a lot of these takes, Victor. We're on the same page. What else we got?
Angel Salcedo, he's been a trooper here. He's been following us, I think, all week, which is awesome.
Yeah.
We love that, Angel. So shout out to you for being on here every show. So we appreciate that. So he has a question, a fantasy question: should I trade Waddle now that Tua is hurt?
Yeah, I was never even high on Jalen Waddle. That contract that the Dolphins gave him, like, felt a little premature, and to get paid top 10 money when you haven't played like a top 10 wide receiver didn't sit right with me. He has some moments of playing well, and he helps out every now and then, but he just gets lost. He's kind of like I'm gonna make a list of guys who get lost because of a number one wide receiver: Chris Godwin, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle. Those guys I tend to just kind of kick aside because like it's just a risk putting them in my lineup. Like, are they going to go off this week or not? And that's the difficult thing for me. So, yeah, you could trade Jalen Waddle now that Tua's hurt. I'm okay with that, Vic.
All right, one more here before we move on to our top three games of the week. We got Raven Show Yo. It says, "Quick, I need help. Should I trade Diggs away for Tank full PPR?"
Okay, Stephon Diggs for Tank
He's
Dell.
yeah. He says he is in a trade negotiation as we speak. I think this
Wow.
guy is dumb. So
Oh my. Okay, so he said, should I trade Diggs away for Tank Dell? I get it, Ravens show, yo, because one it's the time of year, right? Victor overreaction week one, and Diggs got two touchdowns, and I'm not just saying that because I have Tank Dell in one of my leagues, but I think Tank Dell is going to have a good season. That's why I picked them. I guess I am saying that for that reason, but I think Nico Collins going to take a lot of targets from Stephon Diggs, and I think eventually Tank Dell is going to be the stretch the field guy. So even if he has 3 catches or 4 catches, is there going to be kind of these yak monsters or explosive plays? So I am okay with it, Vic. What about you?
yeah, after watching that offense, which I was very skeptical about, Mixon, it looks like he's going to be a big workhorse for them. But in terms of the receivers, I have Nico Collins one,
Yeah.
Diggs two, and then Tank three. So
Oh, you wouldn't do it.
yeah, yeah, I wouldn't do it just
Okay.
because Diggs is going to get all the underneath stuff. And it looks like they're going to use Nico Collins more as a stretch guy. And then and Tank, you're just hoping that he gets one of those, one of those touchdowns taken away from those first two guys. So
Well,
I would keep Diggs if I'm being honest, Gilbert.
just because Ravens show yo is in a pinch here, I'm gonna be honest. I started Tua today, so go ahead and trust Vic. There you go.
Yeah,
Break the tie there.
there we go. And at the end, we'll get to your question there. We need to move on real quick, but we will talk about, he wants to know about CNC, the 49ers, and the Lions. So we'll talk about that game. So we'll get your question then at the end. So hang on and we'll get to it. All right, Gilbert, our top three matchups of the week. We're going to start off with our headline, which is the game of the week for us, and that's Bengals Chiefs. Um, just kind of going over some of we saw the Bengals lose against the Patriots. We know the Bengals are slow starters. They've been notorious slow starters. I believe Burrow is under 500 in his career in September. He usually kicks it in gear as the Bengals do uh, in the middle of the season and into the postseason and that's how they went on that run and got to the Super Bowl against the Rams. So my question to you, kind of to start off this matchup, Gilbert, what are you looking for in this matchup, and what are you expecting from this matchup?
Yeah, well, first of all, Victor, I just refreshed the odds here, and it went up a point again for the Chiefs. They're -6 now. They was -5 earlier today when I looked. So,
Yeah,
and
I
check
had
out,
it at 5.5, so
yes, it's
I'm
going
changing
up.
it right now here, and
So,
I'll give you the line now. Go ahead.
so another plug by me. I do a weekly betting column for SI.com, and I spoke to the bookmaker for the Westgate, and he pretty much told me it's going to be a matchup between the sharps and the public, and the sharps being obviously the big high rollers, the well informed bettors, and they're backing the Cincinnati Bengals. I was surprised about that. When you call somebody a sharp, you think they're the smarter ones, but the public is going with the Chiefs, obviously, because the Chiefs uh, or looked great last week. The Bengals did not, but I'm very surprised that there's a lot of support for the sharps, and that's good for them. Like if you're waiting for the whole week and you want to back the Bengals, keep waiting. It might go up -7. You get a full touchdown. Maybe the bet starts becoming more enticing in terms of betting aspect. But now in real life, uh, like you mentioned, Victor, Joe Burrow has struggled in September. The Bengals have struggled in September. We're not even sure if Higgins is going to play. I think this defense has regressed last year, and then you could tell signs of it this year when they got ran over by Ramondre Stevenson with the Patriots running back. So defense, quarterback doesn't look right. Injuries to wide receivers. You're going to Arrowhead Stadium. You're playing the Kansas City Chiefs, who have a better offense this year. It's funny because a week ago especially me, I assumed they're going to steamroll the Patriots. They didn't, so it's kind of one of those. Okay, be careful what you say. But I'm gonna go off of what I saw last week. I'm gonna go off of history, which I hate to do sometimes. But these Bengals are overrated, and I'm tired of the Bengals getting. You know how I was saying Josh Allen, the Bills don't get respect the way maybe Aaron Rodgers has in his career, and Aaron Rodgers has earned it. He won a Super Bowl, but the Bengals for some reason have all this respect because they went to one Super Bowl. They didn't even win the Super Bowl, and because they beat the
Yeah.
Chiefs one time, like that stuff to me is starting to get tiring. And like the Bengals got to do something. Like, you go into Arrowhead and you beat the Chiefs, okay, cool, you're back to being for real. But right now, I think they're overrated.
Yeah, and I'm kind of with you. Like I'm still waiting for Joe Burrow. Like, I asked you guys on Compass and the Beat. I think my two biggest question marks for quarterbacks this going into the season were Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow. These are two guys that had, I feel like with Joe Burrow, we've gotten everybody's excuses in terms of he's been hurt this whole time. And I'm like, okay, eventually you have to put it together. We're still living off, Joe Burrow taking the Cincinnati Bengals, who haven't hadn't, had been a dormant franchise, and he takes them to the Super Bowl. And because of that, we keep rewarding him with expectations. And then the same thing with Justin Herbert for me was like, I want to see it. Like, I understand that he had all the rookie stats records when he carried the Chargers in that first season, but we haven't seen that Justin Herbert since then. So that's why I had my question marks for both of those guys. And so far with Harbaugh, I trust Harbaugh and what he can do for Herbert. Zach Taylor, I don't know what he can do for Joe Burrow. Like, I thought, and I told you, losing Brian Callahan was a big thing. I feel, and a lot of people said, well, Zach Taylor was the one calling the play, so they're not going to lose anything. And after 1 week, I really like what I saw from Brian Callahan in terms of play calling for the Titans, even though his quarterback made a bunch of mistakes. But I think losing Brian Callahan was big. And you're right. I mean, um, the defense for the Bengals hasn't been good since the middle of last season, Gilbert, and that's a concern. And then
Yeah.
you're going up against a great defensive coordinator in Spagnuolo for the Chiefs, who I don't know how he does it, but they let Darius Need go, and he's just gonna develop another the secondary somehow, some way. Like, he just picks out dudes. They got Watson back there. You have McDuffie. Somehow, some way, he always ends up developing those secondaries. And I'm with you. I think this might be a one of those games where the Chiefs, the Bengals have been chirping at one of their defensive backs said something about
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy So I'm like, why are you putting bulletin material out there? The Chiefs, we know how Patrick Mahomes works. If he hears something, he's gonna make sure that Xavier Worthy gets the ball in this game. I'm thinking this might be a blowout, Gilbert. Like I just don't like the way the optics look, but even Atir says he says don't overlook the Bengals. I think they can win. He says he's got the Bengals winning 27 to
Wow.
23.
Okay.
Yeah, 4-1 versus Mahomes. No one can say that. Not even my QB, sad to say, which is Herbert. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, maybe it could happen. They do, have they have proven or experienced players who have proven themselves, but to me, they haven't proved much in a while. So I'm with you, Vic. I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm eating the points, and I'm ready to go to the next game.
yeah, and like I said, it's -6. The money line is -250, and the over under is 48. Give me the under on this game too, Gilbert, just because of what I can see Spagnuolo doing against that Zach Taylor offense. I want to see Joe Burrow under center, and until I see it and he does it consistently, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs here as well, Gilbert. So yeah, and I'm picking the under just because I don't think the Bengals can put up points right now, especially if T. Higgins doesn't start in this game. All right, we're moving on, Gilbert. Our top two uh, games to watch. We're gonna start off with we're going to Sunday night football, Bears and Texans. This game is Texans -6.5. The money line is at -285 for the Texans, and the over under is 45.5. What are your storylines from this game?
Yeah, that's another one where the odds are changing pretty heavily. I think maybe last time I checked was 6 for the Texans, and yeah, I think Keenan Allen didn't practice. Roma Duzier didn't practice, so that's a lot. You're asking a lot from a rookie quarterback who mightily struggled in his regular season debut at home against a team that's not as good as the Houston Texans, that being the Tennessee Titans. So, yeah, it was great that they rallied, but that was more special teams. That was more of the defense. So, yeah, the defense can maybe hold it down and contain all the weapons that we just discussed with CJ Stroud, having Nico Collins, Stephon Diggs, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, Dalton Schultz, a very good offensive line. Offensive line, Vic, that I might add, is that Bobby Sloak has now fully incorporated the Kyle Shanahan wide
Yeah,
zone scheme. Like you saw him, that's why we saw the 49ers run the football with Jordan Mason. We saw Joe Mixon with Bobby Sloak. That Shanahan zone scheme is a thing of beauty. And, it's funny. I know we're not talking 49ers, but people, I think it was George Kittle said that yeah, when you have Mason, you run some of that zone scheme. When you have Christian McCaffrey, you do the fancy bells and whistle because he does so much more. So it's been a minute since we've seen that with the 49ers doing with Shanahan or his dad invented. So yeah, these Texans, man, they're kind of following that blueprint with the 49ers. And sometimes when you try to copy somebody, it doesn't work out, but they're doing it pretty well with their own spin on it, obviously, with CJ Stroud there. So, that's my Super Bowl team. I'm kind of worried about a trap game, primetime football. Everybody's going to pick them for sure. But yeah, Caleb Williams has to show me more. And Caleb Williams has a tendency of doing too much, and he's doing it too much too soon. And now imagine trying to force the football without his best playmakers. This could be maybe one of those days where like Derek Stingley Jr. gets like a pick six. Like they have so many playmakers in this DeMarco or D'Amico Ryan's defense here. So to me, I'm going to take the Texans. I hate that it's going up a little high, but I'll eat the points here, 6.5. I don't like it. It's a little too high for me. But them being at home and the injuries that I just discussed and a rookie quarterback, usually a rookie quarterback on the road tends to be blowout games.
yeah, I'm gonna go the opposite way. Now, I'm not picking the Bears to win this game.
Okay.
I'm picking. You know, I'm thinking more in terms of the betting. If you're giving me 6 points here with the Bears, one of the things that that I like about the Bears is their defense. Their defense is legit. We saw them carry them to that win against the Titans and the special teams as well. Saw Jonathan Owens there returning a punt block for a touchdown, and so the this is going to be a big test for this Texans offense. And as you talked about, you gave a great analysis of what the Texans like to run here. My thing is here with the Bears defense is they've been pretty stout since the middle of last season, and they've continued against the Titans. And so this is where that challenge comes. Is and I've told you, Gilbert, is can these offensive coordinators and these offensive innovators be able to now play chess with these defensive coordinators? And this is where their head coach comes into play for the Bears. And I think they're going to keep this game close. They're going to try to limit some of the exposure that Caleb Williams had against the Titans. They're going to be on the road, so I expect this game to be a heavily run option ground game attack by the Bears, and I think they keep it close to be able to cover this line here. And I also like the under in this game as well, Gilbert. I just think it's going to be a low scoring game. You're on national TV, but yeah, and Athir here says he's with you. He says, Gilbert, this is a beatdown coming. I got the Texans big, 31
Okay.
to 7. So there we go. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
two against one here, but
Yeah, I kind of agree with both. Like, obviously, I got the Texans winning this game and covering, but I'm not gonna fight with you much, Victor, because I do worry about the Lions. If it was like 6, okay, cool, 6.5. Now you're pushing it, and we see all these backdoor covers. I think
yeah.
I might have had Texas -3 against the Colts, and the freaking Richardson touchdown became a 2-point game. So things like that always happen. So I am not gonna counter heavily, Victor, but I do have the Texans here and very worried about the spread. But
Yeah, I
we
like the Texans here too. I think the Bears are going to cover that six. If it's 6.5, 6, I really like it. Even if it's a push at 6, I still like the Bears in this in to be able to cover. All right, Gilbert, let's move on to our second tier game, and that is Falcons Eagles on Monday Night Football. What are your storylines going into this game? I'm guessing do they start with the good with the Eagles, or is it the bad with the Falcons?
Uh, yeah, I think I start with the bad with the Falcons here, and it's actually kind of a game that you guys are making me think more. Maybe you guys are making me do this on purpose because on Compass on the Beat, you guys all forced me to take the Falcons because I picked the Falcons to win the
I forgot
division,
about that.
and also because I took a lot of favorites on the games that you guys chose there, and part of me, because also I was doing picks for SI, I felt like a chicken this week because I went 0-3 on my underdogs. I think I had the Raiders, I had the Jaguars. I'm forgetting which other dog I had, but I was okay. Maybe I'll play a little safe and I'll have one or two underdogs here. But I couldn't convince myself to take the Falcons. The Falcons look terrible, but you know what? I needed to get more dogs, so I let you guys push me into that pick there. But maybe this is a week where the Falcons do what we thought they were going to do, or at least for me. Kirk Cousins, moving the ball with Drake London, who didn't do anything. Maybe Bijan Robinson has a field day against the Eagles. I think the Eagles defense is still a little concerning. They kind of, they got away with one
Yep.
with, maybe, with, obviously Jordan Love got hurt until the end, but they got punished by Jaden Reed. They couldn't figure out Jaden Reed's versatility. So maybe Bijan Robinson has a game there and to kind of keep him in the game. Maybe Kyle Pitts finally does something. I'm trying to convince myself there, but just because I see that line there, Victor, -6.5, I will take the Falcons to cover the spread, but I'll pick the Eagles to win the game. I guess at heart, it just feels like a force. I'll give you some of the upsets that I do like later on, but the Falcons winning this one and money lining it, I can't do that, but I will pick them to take the cover the spread +6.5. I know that they're in Philadelphia. Is that correct, Victor? I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah,
right.
they're in Philly.
Yeah, so that does concern me, but part of me with the Eagles, I don't know. I like the Saquon addition. They just I need to see more and a little overrated off of week one. And again, don't fall into the trap of week one overreactions, which this could be the case. Falcons were bad, the Eagles were good, but so I will hesitate and I'll take the Falcons here just for the points.
Yeah, and Athir is with you on this one. He says, in my opinion, I think the Falcons will show up and keep it close. Exciting game. I got Philly winning 34-31. And I'm going to flip it on you guys now. I'm going to go the other way here. And I'm not doing this on purpose just to make the show more, uh, uh, more exciting here. But one of the things that I always look at is dome teams traveling to outdoor games. and I get it. They're not. It's not frigid Philly in December right now, so I understand that. But one of the things that I'm concerned about is Kirk Cousins and the fact that Gilbert, he was in shotgun or pistol the whole game. He's not moving well. He's not unable to move because he's coming back from that Achilles tear. The same thing we saw from Aaron Rodgers. It's gonna take some time, And I thought about this. I was like, well, should they have gone with Penix while Cousins recovered? But I think there's too much pressure. You paid them all that money. I understand why they did it. Also, with the Falcons defense, they changed coordinators. We know Raheem Morris is now running things there, and they're more of a bend don't break kind of defense. And so I have my concerns with that as well. I like what I saw from the Eagles offense in terms of Kellen Moore. I had a lot of questions as we talked about last week going into the game, but they finally had motion last season. Gilbert, the Eagles were last in motion. This season they were one of the top 10
Hmm.
teams after the first game. So I really like what the Eagles are doing. I do also have the question marks just like you do with that defense, the linebackers as well, the secondary. But I think in this game they're going to feed off the home crowd, and I think the Eagles cover that 6.5. And I really do think this game goes with the over here, just because we're going to see some points being scored in this game. So I not only like the over in this game, but I also like the Eagles to cover.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks where, like, to me, it just it doesn't seem like a lot of like upset specials, and like that makes it hard with the spreads because the spreads are a little more, they're wider, and for guys like me who really like to kind of look for these dogs and kind of bet
Yeah,
money line or take the points, like it's not a good week for me because I'm like 6.5 sevens, but I'll take a couple here. So again, I won't fight you with that one, Victor, because I'm
yeah.
hesitant, but I'll do the opposite and I'll take the points here. But I think I saw a question, Victor. We want to ask.
Yes, we are moving on to Ask Gilbert segment, fantasy betting, pop culture. So if you have any questions, go ahead and send them your way here. But it says we have Chase Kimball says trade away Saquon and Diggs, receive ETN, ASB, and Kincaid. Also got offered Gibbs and AJ Brown. Are either of them worth it?
Okay, let me go back to the first one. So the trade hasn't happened yet. Is that what the case is, Chase?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Trade away Saquon and Diggs. Receive ETN, Amon St. Brown, and Dalton Kincaid. Ooh, huh. I don't like ETN. I already mentioned that. Kincaid, I expect the more. He hasn't really done much, but when Allen is playing the spread the ball around kind of thing, I thought it's going to be a lot of heavy Shakir and Kincaid, but he's just kind of moving the ball around. James Cook is, the touchdowns, which again affected me, Victor. You have James Cook.
Yes. Yep.
So I don't think I would do it just because of the way Saquon played, and then even Diggs played well. I'm just not high on ETN. I do love Amon St. Brown being there, and Kincaid I expected better. So it just 2 out of 3 players I don't like, Vic.
Yeah, I'm with you. I wouldn't trade him. I wouldn't trade him away. I think the other one is a little bit more interesting just because of Gibbs and AJ Brown.
Mm,
You get back a number one receiver. Gibbs, as I talked about, you're just gonna have to hope that he scores a couple touchdowns for you, whether it's on screen passes,
yeah.
because Montgomery's gonna get the ball down in the goal line. So this one I give more of
Hmm.
a, uh, I give this one more of a look, but
I
it
might
just
even I
depends on
might
what
just
you.
take that one too. I actually like it
Yes,
a lot.
yeah. So it all depends. I really like. I have Saquon on my team. I think that with Kellen Moore now doing more option, more motion. It's gonna help Saquon. He's gonna be able to move the ball or run the ball, kind of like we saw with McCaffrey when he got to the 49ers. And so that's my only hesitation. I would try to hold on to Saquon, but hey, if you like AJ Brown and Gibbs, like that's a good that is a good trade there. So
It
I
gets
think that's a
thumbs up.
fair trade. Yeah, it's a thumbs up there. And then we have a tier says Victor, the last 5 years has been more blowout on Sunday Night Football than Monday Night Football. So keep that in mind. So there we go. Yeah.
Okay. All
So
right.
good stat there. We'll keep that in mind, Theo, and we'll Lunes Live, we'll give you credit for that if that ends up being a blowout compared to Monday Night Football. So we'll keep that in mind. as
Okay.
well. All right, Gilbert. We're gonna switch things up here a little bit. We got some combat sports bets.
Yes.
We have two big fights going down this weekend. We have Canelo versus Berlanga. Where do you want to start with this one? Do you want to start with the with some of the wagers in terms of what is gonna
Yeah.
uh, what so Canelo versus Berlanga to win? Canelo is at minus two
Ooh.
thousand, and Edgar Berlanga is at plus 950. Which
Yeah.
way? Which way you going with this one?
This one I'm just gonna stay away from because I'm pretty convinced Canelo's gonna win here. I think entire world thinks Canelo's gonna win here, and I'm gonna explain a little bit as to why Canelo's probably the biggest favorite in a very long time. I guess in a fight of this, he's had some couple tune-ups, so I shouldn't say that. But there's a fight where it's supposed to be some kind of intrigue where it's not considered a tune-up. It's definitely very widespread. So I'll explain a bit in a bit here, but I don't think Berlanga's gonna be a live dog here. Don't touch that. And at Canelo minus 2,000, there's no money right there. But
Yeah,
again, don't be shy with asking questions, fantasy football, betting, anything. But just right now, I'm a big. If you don't know, I'm a big fight fan. I'm really into boxing. Me and Fernando are going to be in Las Vegas for the Canelo Alvarez fight. So I just wanted to touch base real quick on some combat sports here. So we'll pick it up a little bit, but you know what, Vic? Let me take this one away and kind of see what I like here. And maybe you already kind of have some banners here, but
yeah. I
yeah,
have total
perfect.
rounds. I'm just gonna give them to you. You let me know, and you continue to talk. But total rounds over 9.5 plus 120. Under 9.5 is minus 163. Over 10.5 is plus 164, and the under is 10.5 minus 225. So if there's anything you like there, we can either continue or we can move on.
I definitely like the over 9.5 because it's not a lot of plus money, but it's plus 120. And this is what tells me that people are really expecting Canelo Alvarez to beat Edgar Berlanga. The under is the minus under 9.5. Canelo Alvarez hasn't knocked out anybody in 3 years, and you're expecting him to
Yep.
knock out a younger fighter who's actually kind of bigger than Canelo and under 9.5 rounds. Yes, he's a better fighter than Berlanga, but you know what? I call Berlanga Frankenstein. He is massive. He's bulky. He has some pop, but he's very slow. He kind of fights like this, no combinations, and maybe that's gonna be a problem with Canelo Alvarez, who is a great uh, combination puncher. But I would take a chance here on Berlanga surviving and maybe gets knocked out in the 10th, 11th, 12th, and maybe he survives. I don't know. But to me, that tells me that everybody's expecting a knockout. The minus being 163. So I will take the over a 9.5. And there's a couple here that has like a fight outcome.
There you go.
Victor, thank you.
Alvarez by
Look at that.
knockout TKO or disqualification minus
Minus
three
three,
hundred.
minus 300 is insane for a guy who hasn't knocked out anybody in 3 years. A guy who's much older than the opponent. So I wouldn't touch that one. That is just not.
Yeah, Alvarez by decision plus 260 looks like
Yeah.
the bet to go with
Yeah,
Gilbert.
I get Berlanga is not as good as Munguia, and he's not as good as some of these champions. But just going off of track record and predictability of Canelo fights, there's some money to be made just to take a chance. I'm not saying go put your life savings on it, but I like that there's some kind of plus money finally on a Canelo fight. So I will take 260 by this decision, Victor.
Yeah, and then going the distance is plus 240. I
Ooh,
jump on that as well,
yeah.
Gilbert.
Yeah, so I definitely like that. But yeah, I wanted to touch real quickly on some boxing. So if you're into the fight game and if you want to bet on Canelo's track record of going the distance, not knocking out people, there is some money to be made there. He's gonna win for sure. He might win
Yeah.
in a landslide on the cards, but you know what? Berlanga is younger. He has some pop. This is me trying to just convince myself for the bet. He's not a good fighter. I'll just put it at that. But I think he might be a guy who just could survive. So there you go. We could talk some UFC real quick, Victor. Too. I know we have
Yeah,
to
let's
move
go
on.
ahead and go over to Shauna O'Malley versus Merab Dalishvili. Bantamweight championship fight. Sugar Shane O'Malley here. To win the fight, Sean O'Malley is minus 138. Merab is plus 110. What do you think of this one?
Ooh, I thought O'Malley would be a little more of a favorite. So you know what? I will take Sean O'Malley right here, -130. Merab is very tough. He's a guy who has some pop too. So it could be an intriguing fight. But I'm really high on Sean O'Malley being the real deal. So I will take -138 here, Vic.
Yeah, and what about the rest? Like method of victory, you got
Mm.
O'Malley by decision or technical decision plus 375, O'Malley by KO or TKO or disqualification plus 175, O'Malley by submission. Kind of like that one as plus 1200 there.
Ooh.
And this should
Yeah,
Bestial,
he's more of a striker. That's why that one's really high. But hey, you never know. And
yeah,
just call him Miro Victor. I can't even pronounce his last
Mer,
name, but
yeah, Mer,
but Amirov is a decision or yeah. You know, I I will go. The only one I like here, Victor, like for reals, is O'Malley either by decision because it's plus 375. Maybe I think Merab is tough enough to go the distance, but I if you're concerned about the power, I think O'Malley plus 175 KO, TKO, or DQ. Those are the
yeah.
two bets I will either for me.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like that plus 1200. I like go throw a couple bucks. Hey,
Hey,
maybe
why
you
not?
turn it in. Yeah, you turn it into big money there. So I'm not saying go and put the Gilbert farm there and put the whole money on there. So yeah, and then we have Mara by KO, TKO or disqualification plus 900, and then by submission plus 1800, and if it's a draw plus 8,000. So. I think from what you told us, I think it's going to be a hard you know hard thing to see Marov here kind of winning. So,
Yeah,
but if you want to throw a couple bucks on here, that's
why
not a
not?
bad way to go either.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to put these out here. That way, people who are fans of the fight game have fun with some of these bets here. But uh,
Yeah, last
uh
one is total rounds. You said he's a knockout artist, so I
yeah,
probably
go
would do
under.
the under, because that'll give you especially if you do like a parlay on this, you can figure something out here where you can make the plus a little bit higher, especially if you take some of these into a parlay like a three-leg parlay, you can make some money on Sugar Shane O'Malley. So just
Yeah,
something to keep in mind, I should say. But yeah, good, good set of fights going down this weekend in Las Vegas. You got UFC Noche de
no choose.
UFC,
Yeah,
yeah, Noche de UFC at the Sphere, and then you got Canelo Berlanga at MGM Grand, and you guys had a great conversation. So make sure you go and check out that video. Gilbert and Fernando broke down both of those events. So, and then they'll be there on Saturday night at the MGM Grand covering Canelo versus Berlanga. So stay locked with the compas because we got you covered there. But Gilbert, I had one question, but we're gonna move on. We're gonna go over to our best bets of the week here because we're running short on time here. Just kind of going over what we did last week. You got 3 out of 5 right, but you got the big numbers right. So right now you're up 12-3 on me. You want to explain how we do our best bets, Gilbert?
yeah. Let me explain. Then I'm gonna answer Zachary's question here real quick. That way we don't make them way too long. But
Yes.
yeah, we put our 5 best bets, but we put them in order of like 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, and 1 point. And then we count them up. So like yeah, last week I got my 5 pointer, my 4 pointer, and my 3 pointer. So that was 12
Yes.
points. So that's why I have a pretty sizable lead on Victor. I got to have some kind of lead because he's whooping me in fantasy football right now. So
Yes.
that's the way to do it. But before we get to our week 2 best bets, what do we have here from Zachary, Victor?
Yeah, we have just got offered Mark Andrews and Keenan Allen for Olave and Pitts. I take that. I'd go and put that
Actually, yeah.
accept button.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Mark Andrews is probably gonna, decline a bit with Isaiah Likely. Keenan is looking a little older, and with injuries, I think Olave and Pitts is the way to go here.
yeah, and like I said, even with Cousins being a little, only you're not getting under center. I think we saw Pitts finally get a
Yeah.
touchdown in the end zone, so I think he's gonna. Cousins loves his tight ends. If you go back in his history, whether it's been T.J. Hawkinson, whatever tight end he's had, he loves going to the tight end. So I would get make that trade if that's what you if you got offered Olave for Pitts for Andrews and Keenan, I'd take it, Zachary. So there we go. All right, Gilbert. So your best bets this week. Where do you want to
Mhm.
start?
Okay, for my 5 pointer right here, this is supposed to be my best bet. Uh, yeah, okay, maybe I'm just annoyed that people just want to always crown any team that Aaron Rodgers is on, and the Jets just look pretty bad to me. And they had one nice drive, and everybody's picking them to beat the Tennessee Titans in Tennessee. And by the way, like you know, you have an old quarterback who it could be one game of rust. Okay, I'm not trying to write off Aaron Rodgers this quickly, but he looked very slow. He looked his age in the pocket, and the one of the best traits for Aaron Rodgers is moving around and throwing late. He still has a very live arm, by the way, good angles as we all seen
Yeah.
in his career. He just can't move around as much. And when you're facing Jeffrey Simmons, and that rookie is it Tavondre Sweat, he looked like a beast out there. The second round pick for the Titans. So that front was already good. Now you add in the rookie like that, it could be a long day. So I'm taking the points here. Victor, maybe let me double check real quick because it was
Yeah, I
going
got
up.
him too. I got him. This is my number two as well.
Okay.
So we have this. We're thinking right alike here. I just had it a little bit further down for myself, but every point you make there. One of the things that people forget is going to Nashville is a hard thing to do. Like for whatever reason, teams who go into Nashville, ask Charger fans, ask Raider fans, ask any fan base. Anytime you go into Nashville, for some reason, even if they're down, they're not as good as you think they are. Somehow, some way, they pull out a win in Nashville. I just and as you said, I'm still not sold on the Jets going into the season. I have them winning the division just because I didn't want to just give it to Buffalo. I figure with all the new additions, I thought the Jets would be better with that defense. That's what got exposed against the 49ers was that defense. And so I have some concerns, Gilbert, but yeah, I'm with you. I like the times here +4. Give me those points.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I guess I like them a little more because I got them in my
Yes.
5 pointer.
Yes.
My number 4. This is where I have a regret for not taking a dog. I chickened out because I sucked with my dogs last week. So, I definitely always look for kind of like these teams. I think maybe I'm getting too safe where I go for the home teams who have the points and I take them. The Buccaneers are the road team, but 7.5. Like this is a good team here. I know Detroit's
Yes.
Detroit, and you're going to Detroit, but the Buccaneers you know, lost by I think 8 points. I maybe it doesn't prove my point, but it's pretty close. 8 points to the Lions in the playoffs. They pushed them all the way to the end, so they're going to keep it close, I think at least. So I will take the 7.5 points here. Yes, they played the terrible Washington defense. So, but seeing Baker Mayfield the way he played, and Mike Evans, and Rashad White, and Bucky Irvin, and Chris Godwin, there's just a lot of talent there offensively with Tristan Wirfs as your left tackle to at least go blow for blow in a shootout. They're going to score points to me, and even the Lions look rusty last week, so I will take the points here, and they'll be my 4 pointer, Vic.
Yeah, and one of the best quarterbacks that nobody's talking about is Baker Mayfield. I mean, what he's done, I thought he might take a step back with Dave Canales moving on to Carolina. He just kept on going. He had 3 passing touchdowns last week against the Commanders. And I know the Commanders aren't great defensively, but they brought in Dan Quinn. You would expect a better defensive effort from the Commanders there, but I'm with you. I think they keep it close. And this is actually my number three. This game is my number three, and I have the
Oh,
Buccaneers and Lions as the under here at 49. And the reason for that, Gilbert, as we talked about, the Lions love their bread and butter is running the ball. We saw last week against the Rams, it was a 26-20 game. I just think this is going to be a low scoring game as you talked about. It's going to be close. It'll be 24-21 somewhere in there, and it'll hit the under here. I just don't think it's everybody keeps thinking that the Lions are going to be this explosive team. And then we saw this last season too, Gilbert. Remind me if I'm wrong, but wasn't this the playoff game a close game in the second half? And
yeah.
then eventually the Lions won. So I'm with you. I do like I like this game to be close. I'm with you on what you said, and then I like it to be in the under. So like, let's move on to your
Yeah,
number three.
I'll list these last three real quickly. That we can move on. But I definitely like the Steelers -2.5. Yes, they're on the road, but the Broncos and Bo Nix look very terrible. And TJ Watt is playing lights out. If he's staying healthy, he did what you did. Then my 2 pointer, I will. This was a little bit of a maybe late to the party, but I thought the Pats defense played strong or well for Gerardo Mayo. They responded very well. He showed that he could coach a defense. Who he obviously he used to be a linebacker for the Patriots. So the Seahawks, had some trouble with Bo Nix. They needed to kind of escape that one, and they kept playing in the back of their end zone. And they got two safeties. The Seahawks, might need some time to gel. And then you're going all the way across country. I'm gonna be late to the party, but I'll take the Pats +3.5. And then this one, the Raiders, who have a very good defense, they were put in a tough spot by Antonio Pierce to have to carry the team, and then the game broke wide open with the Chargers. But I still think they have a very good defense. I will take the Raiders to contain Lamar Jackson, who I think they're pretty top heavy. And then the Ravens defense might have a good day against Gardner Minshew. Well, apparently people in Las Vegas do because we heard about the hot mic there. But
Yes.
I'll take the under 41.5 to end my top five.
All right. Let me. I have some of the same ones, but we'll go. I'll go through them real quick too. My number five, Gilbert, this week is the Cowboys -6 versus the Saints. I mean, the Saints were at home. They played the Panthers. They took advantage. The Cowboys are going home. We saw what they did to the Cleveland Browns. I just expect the same. The Cowboys are a regular season team. We
Mm-hmm.
know they score a lot of points, and so I just think they're gonna blow out the Saints at home, especially in their home opener. Going back to that Raiders Ravens game, I do like as you talked about. Not only do I like that under, I also like the Raiders here +9. I mean, if you're giving me that many points, as I said, both of these teams need a win here. I think it's going to be a close game. I just don't see it as a blowout, just because the Raiders, as you mentioned, they have a really good defense. So, and then I mentioned Buccaneers, Lions under. That's number three. I also mentioned Titan +4 against the Jets. I'm with you there. But my number one
Oh,
actually going the opposite way. I
wow.
like the
Okay.
Seahawks here going on the road. To kind of cover here. I just think that last week was kind of they caught the Bengals in by surprise. But I just like the Seahawks. And you made a great point. I didn't really think about it. The West Coast team going on at 10 a.m. We'll see. But I just think the Seahawks have the better talent there. Gilbert, you're still in a survivor pool. I am not. I picked the Bengals last week. So, do you have a survivor pick for the
Yeah.
people?
This is where I'll make my Athir. I know you're still here. My Chargers conversation. I could easily go Chargers to the beat the Panthers from a survivor pool, but as we learned last week, it's maybe not good karma if you just take the easy way out. That I got that one wrong, and also my top five where I picked the Bengals -8. Like it's just sometimes in the NFL it's not gonna be that predictable and that easy. That's why we love the NFL, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna tell myself, if I could look in the mirror and say, okay, you're not a coward for making that pick, do it, and that's the way I'm gonna approach a survivor pool. Maybe that's the way I win this thing without taking the easy way out. So I am not gonna take the Chargers over the Panthers. Also, they're a road team that kind of scares me. The Panthers stink. Let's get that out of the way. They're terrible. They might be like a JV team, but the Chargers go on the road. I don't really like that. So I will take my Texans, my Super Bowl team, at home
Oh wow.
against a
Okay.
rookie quarterback who might not have Roma Dunzi, might not have Keenan Allen. Yeah, I do worry about that defense, but I saw enough in the Texans, to go on the road to play Indianapolis, a much better team than the Bears, at least offensively, and to win that game showed me a lot. So again, I could look in the mirror and say I'm not a coward. I'm taking this one a little risky, and good karma might come my way. So I'm going with the Texans right here.
There we go. So there you go. You have a survivor pick. I am no longer, so I'm not gonna make as long as one of us is still alive, we're
Okay.
gonna give people a survivor pick. So there we go. All right, let's get to quick dump offs here. The games we haven't talked about. So we're gonna pick the rest of the games. Athir, I think, looked at our rundown. So he already gave his score here for the Chargers. He has the Chargers winning 38-3.
Whoa.
So big. So there we
Okay.
go. Chargers are -3.5
That's
at the Panthers. The over
wow.
under is 39. Gilbert, where are you going with this one?
Why does that feel way too low for me? Chargers, okay, I guess they are on the road. Maybe it wouldn't be a
Yeah,
touchdown,
the
but
home team gets three. So pretty
okay.
much they think they're a touchdown favorite at this point.
Well, I just did a refresh. Now they're minus 4.5. So I think it's gonna keep going up throughout the whole week.
Yeah.
But you know what? I would definitely take the Chargers minus 2.5 at this point. So I would take that one. What do you think about this one, Vic?
Yeah, the one I do like here is the over. I just think that I think this game is gonna probably be a little bit of a blowout, but I think the Panthers will score a couple of points here, like two touchdowns here and there,
Yeah,
and mop up duty. And so I think I like the over in this game if I'm picking something. I'm a little afraid, Gilbert. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little afraid about the Chargers, like in terms of the betting thing. Now I think they win, but I think the Bears keep it. I am afraid that they might be able to keep it close just because of the whole West Coast team going to the East Coast on a I don't know
yeah. If,
playing on
if
a
it
10
was like
a.m.
if
game.
it was like a 6 pointer, I would be concerned. But 3.5 seems a little low. But I just saw the
Okay.
4.5, so it's gonna start going up. But what else we got?
All right. Colts -3 at the Packers.
Mm.
Over under is 40.5.
Why does it feel like a trap game? Yes, it's Malik
Yes.
Willis, but you are going to Green Bay. But I've seen Malik Willis play. I'm high on the Colts. I will put my fears aside and I'll take the Colts -3.
Yeah, I think I kind of like the Packers at home here, Gilbert. And it's not that I believe in Malik Willis. I just think that they're going to be able to run the ball with Josh Jacobs. We kind of texted and we're like, "What the heck did the Packers do, giving signing Josh Jacobs?" But he was really good in the second half.
Yeah.
And then that defense is much improved. We'll see how they do. But I'm gonna go the opposite way here. I'm taking the Packers at home. All right, Gilbert. Browns. I didn't do this right, but it's Browns at Jaguars -3
Oof.
and 41.5 is the over under.
This is one of the games I didn't want to touch, but we're making all picks here. The Browns have a mess with Deshaun Watson. They're going on the road. They looked terrible last week, but the Jaguars, they keep choking games away. They can't win one score games. They're at home. They're -3, but I don't like it. But I'll take the Jaguars here. Even the points. I know.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Jaguars here. I just can't trust anything the Browns are
Hmm.
doing, and then I would take the under here just because I think both of these offenses might struggle, but the Jaguars, they'll either they'll be able to pull out the win here as well. So I like that there. We got a Thier. He said he liked the Colts 24-21 and the Jags 27-23 there. So
Okay.
he's got them covering as well there. All right, two more to go, Gilbert, and we're done. 49ers -5
Mm,
at the Vikings, over under 46.5. I will remind you, though, Gilbert, the Vikings did beat the 49ers last season. They did have Kirk Cousins, though, but they have your boy, Sam Darnold, and I'm sure Viking fans are going to come after you eventually, like
yeah.
they have in the comments lately.
Yeah, you know what? It's a tough one. -5, it's about right to make me think. Like it was -3, I will definitely take the 49ers, and it kind of makes me think now. But I can't keep criticizing Sam Darnold and the Vikings and then pick them. So or even with the spread. So I think the 49ers win straight up. And you know what? I have concerns about the -5, but I will take the -5. I'll give the Vikings credit on their defense. They have some good edge rushers. They still have Harrison Smith, but they're very thin in the interior. And that wide zone scheme with Jordan Mason, even if it's not CMC, I'll take Kyle Shanahan all day.
Yeah, I actually really like Brian Flores in this game, and I think the Vikings are going to keep it close. I think the 49ers pulled this win out, but Brian Flores, for some reason, has really good success against Kyle Shanahan, and that kind of concerns me. So I'm going to say the Vikings keep it close, but the 49ers win it. Yeah, that's in. And you know what makes me worry about this game, as you talked about? Is the fact that that line keeps going down, Gilbert. I do not like the
Mm,
fact that
the Sharps.
the sharps keep going. Dear, send me your question again. Is it the one about the trade? Let me know what it is, and we'll get it on before we go. Uh, but yeah, like, what did the sharps tell you about this game? Or
Well, if that line's going down, that means the Sharps are taking advantage of the Vikings -5, -6. So, yeah, I'm not surprised. They're a home team like that. Yeah, that's what me liking the dogs. You always look for the home teams. They have a lot of points. That's why I took the Patriots 3.5. But yeah, this is one of them. But again, like I have a whole bit here with the Vikings, so I can't do it.
Yeah, and then the last one is Rams at Cardinals. Cardinals are -1.5, and the over under is 48.
Yeah, that's another game that I have a lot of concerns about. Where like I will put it on my do not touch the list, but we are picking all the games here. So, I chose during House of Horns. Check out House of Horns if you're a Rams fan or just want to hear about the team the Rams are playing, or you have I shouldn't say picking a quote, but yeah, Cooper Cup on your fantasy team or Matthew Stafford. Check out House of Horns every Wednesday. We have a YouTube channel also here on Compass on the Beat. But I will take the Cardinals here. I don't feel good about it. I'm hoping to get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved for my fantasy football sake here. But they have a good offense. They don't have as much injuries as the Rams. They are at home, so I'll just take the home team here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Cardinals here at the -1.5. I like the under just because I don't. I think the Cardinals are going to run the ball a lot here, and they're going to control the clock. And so I just think this game's going to be like though the Cardinals are going to win, but it's going to be probably like 23-20, something like that. And then the question just before we go is if CMC health is a problem, are the Lions the team to be in the NFC? You had them going to the Super Bowl. I had them going to the Super Bowl as well. But are you? Do you have? And that is the Lions. But if CMC has continued with this calf injury, do you see the Lions as a team to beat in the NFC?
Yeah, I even had the Lions number one before the season started when I thought CMC is going to be healthy. So yeah, definitely. Christian McCaffrey. Like I go back to that George Kittle quote. Like yeah, like if you have good coaching, you can plug in a running back and kind of just do the zone scheme. But with Christian McCaffrey, you're able to do special things. You're able to kind of have a versatile playbook. You go deep in the bag, and you could maybe do some trick plays with Debo Samuel, get Brandon, and you can. Well, he is a difference maker. So I do worry about his age though. He has a lot of wear and tear. He has a long history of injuries. When he came over from Carolina, it got to the point where like, okay, is he still that guy? Is he injury concerned? Is he getting a little older? Obviously, he wasn't on the downhill, but maybe at this point, who knows? But yeah, I'm still with the Lions. I'm not gonna overreact off of one sluggish game against the Rams. So the Lions were the team for me in the NFC.
Yeah, you know how you talked about how earlier about Kyle Shanahan and his dad and how they run this scheme. One of the things they do is they run those running backs to the
Mm.
ground, and it just feels like CMC has reached that point. He's on the wrong side of for running backs in terms of his age. I thought about putting a claim in for Jordan Mason, but like I didn't I forgot all about the history with the Shanahans and the way they run running backs into the ground. And so yeah, I mean, even before the season, I really like this Lions team, and I'm not gonna change. I did like what I saw from the 49ers in terms of their run defense. That's been my biggest concern with them. And then the thing is, too, Gilbert, is we're gonna find out. They finally get to face each other during the regular season, so we'll see how and getting home field is gonna be huge because
Yeah.
the Lions want home field. They do not want to have to go to the West Coast to Santa Clara and have to face the 49ers there. So that's why I thought it's huge. Like um golf is only going to play one game outdoors after their bye week, and that's going to Chicago, and that's it. So that's going to be a huge advantage for the Lions. They need to rack up wins because, like as we said, they out of all the teams in the NFC, they need they need to make sure they secure the number one seed because I just don't see them being able to get to the Super Bowl without that, Gilbert.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page, but there's still a lot of football to be played and to determine a lot of outcomes and scenarios. So, Athea, we'll get there to that point, but we do agree on the Lions here. But Victor, I think that's about it. We definitely shaved off 15 minutes here from last week, so we're on the right track to getting closer to Gilberto's hour 60 minutes. But I think
Yeah,
we get to
we added
really,
the combat combat stuff,
yeah.
so glad to do that. We have a big fight this weekend, so we needed to make sure we got to it, and then we got a bunch of comments which we love. A Thier, we got Zachary, we got
Mhm.
Chase, we got Raven Show Yo. I mean Angel, who's been on every show this week, which is awesome. Crooners Live. Cameron LeChance, George Play 01, individual. So awesome to see people on here. Hopefully, we can continue rolling and we'll get it under an hour for Heelberto's hour.
Yeah, I definitely don't mind going over the hour because if you think about it, it is supposed to be my hour. But if you guys are asking
Right.
questions and we're here for you, then that's a different
Yep.
type of minutes or hours. So that's good. We have this is week 2 for us doing that. So to see people catching on with the fantasy football, definitely go. And it kind of goes with our script because like we talk a lot about betting and games, and then we get questions about fantasy football. So we take a break to talk fantasy football. So I kind of like this method, but we're always open to feedback and answering more questions. And if you guys want to have more fantasy football questions or segments or conversations, that's cool too. Or you like the kind of the Q&A style where you see a question, we answer, that's fine too. But I like that we made progress in this week 2 of Gilberto's Hour.
Yeah, just before we go, we have a tier. He says, "Congrats, Victor! Congrats on your wedding." So thank you. It's almost my 1 year anniversary. Time flies, man. And wish great times to you, for you, my brother. God bless. So God bless you too, tier. Thanks to you. We try to put a good show together for you guys. So it's awesome. And then Mincy, who also hangs out with us on Mondays
Yeah.
and Tuesdays. She says, "Great show, Gilberto, putting in that late night work." So awesome.
Thank you,
There we go.
Mimsy. That means a lot, especially coming from you, because we know you support Compas on the B. You support what Fernando and Dan do on What's a Boat. So, yeah, this week I chose Chargers. And as you know, Dan and Dago's going to hate that because he thinks I'm a curse. So we'll see what happens with the Chargers and the Carolina Panthers. If they lose, I'm going to be in trouble, Mimsy. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys are going to be okay. But I am going with the Chargers for this week. Thank you for the comment, too.
There you go, Gilbert. So I think we've prepared everybody. We've given everybody kind of like a rundown of what to expect in week 2. We've given our predictions. We've given our betting, our best bets. You're kicking my butt so far, 12-3 in terms of our points. We do need, Gilbert, before we go. We do need we need some suggestions in terms of what the loser has to do at the end of the season. But so send them our way. We did find out what the one chip challenge is, so
Yeah.
maybe we do that. But if we can get a little bit more creative, we'll try and figure something out and come to a decision. But Gilbert, that's all I have for you. It was a great show. Great. We, like you said, we cut it down, and now it's time for us to get ready for week 2 of the NFL season.
Yeah, let's move on to week 2 of Sunday games. For me, Saturday, I gotta cover that Canelo fight. Hopefully, if you're watching the fight, you enjoy it. Have a cookout, have a barbecue, have a carne asada. We love that here on Compas on the Beat. You're watching UFC Spear or Noche Buena UFC, whatever the heck you want to call it. UFC 306. Go ahead and enjoy that too, and then get to Sunday football. I was so excited last Sunday. Like I was making sure I got my coffee ready, my breakfast ready, and I sat down before 7 hours of commercial-free football from Red Zone, Scott Hansen. So football is back, and I'm glad to be talking to you guys here. But it's time to get going. It's very late here. So on that note, ya nos vamos. Pues